Hey everybody, I'm John Rourke, Editor-in-Chief of Phoenix Home and Garden Magazine. We're here at the Arizona Fine Art Expo, running through March 23rd. And we're going to talk, first of all, with Loren Feldman, who is a knife artist. Hi, Loren.
Yes, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Right.
Thank you for joining us. So this is your first year at the Expo, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your work. You do knives, and I'm seeing materials like dinosaur bones and meteorites.
Right.
Talk about that.
Right, so I specialize in a lot of very rare and interesting materials.
Okay.
So just in this booth right here, I have two types of meteorite. Iron meteorite from the core of another planet that's 4.6 billion years old. I have palisite meteorite, which is the rarest of all meteorites, and that comes from where the core meets the mantle of another planet. Same age, but can contain the only gemstone that falls from outer space, which is peridot.
Okay.
And I have Tyrannosaurus Rex in the handle of that knife.
Okay.
Actually, that knife contains everything we just spoke about. That's iron meteorite from the core of another planet on the blade. And then in the handle, this is that palisite meteorite with the peridot. That's Tyrannosaurus Rex, and diamonds, rubies, 24 karat gold. And it's sitting on a Camarasaurus vertebrae that's between 145 and 200 million years old from the Jurassic period.
Amazing. Now, where do you get these materials?
Well, long before I started making knives, which was 10 years ago, I was obtaining rare minerals, rare gems, meteorite, dinosaur bone, and then I ran into a knife maker that was incorporating some of these minerals and materials and dinosaur bone in his knives, and through an act of karma, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, which was to teach me how to do his art.
That's amazing.
And I took him up on it. I quit my job. I jumped in with 2 feet. It took me 2 years to get decent at it. It took me 3 years to pay my bills. And now that's how I make a living.
That's amazing.
Yes. So there's, in addition to what I just mentioned, you'll see some of the rarest minerals on Earth. Woolly mammoth that's 8,000 to 50,000 years old. All of my man-made materials come from the United States.
Okay.
I don't use any offshore man-made products. And one of my wheelhouses is something that's quite unique, that's rarer than diamonds, that's called gem dinosaur bone. So most dinosaur bone that's found on planet Earth looks like this.
Okay.
It's a fossil. But through a series of miracles of nature, if certain events take place, a chain of them, then it turns into this over here, which is called gem dinosaur bone. And that is the cancellous cell structure from inside of the Jurassic period dinosaur. And it's found primarily only in southern Utah and southwest Colorado.
Okay.
And it's considered an exotic precious gem, dinosaur gem bone. And when I say cancellous cell structure, that's the spongy bone inside where the marrow, the blood, and the organic material is.
Okay.
And then this is the exterior of the bone. That's called the cortex. And that is, you can actually see the cancellous cell structure right there. And this is a femur from a Jurassic period dinosaur. So, John, have you heard of the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America?
I have, yes.
When you buy your wife a diamond ring, that's who gives you a certificate of authenticity and value and clarity. And that's also who trains most of the gemologists in the world. And they came to my place and they featured me on their Gems and Gemology magazine. This knife has 9 different dinosaurs in it from the Jurassic period, and they did an article about my application of gem dinosaur bone in knives.
Fantastic.
They did training videos for continuing education for the gemologists with them.
Okay.
So the other thing I do that's quite unique is the knife stands. These are vertebrae from the Cretaceous period, part of a femur from the Jurassic period, part of a femur from the Jurassic. This is an actual whole meteorite, the way it fell to Earth. And these are meteorite blades right here. There's 4 of them. That one's sitting on a real big vertebrae. and I inlay them intricately together.
Okay.
I'm very mindful about symmetry of the knife. So if it doesn't line up on both sides, and on this side and that side, within a 32nd of an inch, I'll rip it apart, even if it costs thousands of dollars in materials, and I start over.
Okay.
So I'm fastidious about the finish of the knives. And the other thing is, when I first started making knives, I remember going to my nephew, who I respect, he's younger than me. I said, "What do you think, Josh? What do you think about that knife?" And he called me on the symmetry. He said I wouldn't buy it because the symmetry was off.
Okay.
And he said also, it's rough. It has to feel smooth. Feel the knife. Feel how smooth that
beautiful.
is.
Heavy too.
All my knives are heavy.
Yeah, I'm used to my kitchen knives, which are nothing like this.
Think about what's in it.
Right.
Gem, dinosaur bone, and meteorite. And talk about heavy. This little meteorite feel what that weighs.
That's amazing.
That's what this blade's made out of.
Okay.
So coincidentally, the blade's the knife is gonna be quite heavy.
Amazing. So I know this answer will differ from piece to piece, but how long, like the one that you have in your hand, how long does it take to make that, to create it?
This knife was probably 60 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so it varies. There are knives here that might take 20, 25 hours.
Okay.
And it depends on how many mistakes I make.
Sure.
I have to correct them.
Right.
And there's no way of really calculating exactly, because I have to factor that in.
Right.
Unless everything goes right, and then I can calculate it.
Sure.
But you make mistakes.
Of course.
And
then you
I fix them.
then you fix them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And by the way, this knife here that I had in my hand that also has a meteorite blade has gem dinosaur bone that we talked about, and the rarest petrified wood in the world. They found like one tree of this near Winslow, Arizona. It's called green chromium petrified wood from Winslow, and that is as rare as it gets. And to my knowledge, no other knife maker that I've ever heard of has ever used it in the handle of a knife.
Amazing.
And I made 3 and I have 1 left.
So do you have collectors who follow you around? Or
Yes, and I'm gonna give you an example. You recognize that gentleman?
I'm not sure.
That's Richard Petty.
Richard Petty, come on, John.
He is the winningest NASCAR driver by double in the history of NASCAR.
Okay.
I was hired by the owner of High Performance Lubricants in Chicago, Illinois, who provides the lubricants to the Richard Petty race team. I was hired by that gentleman to make this knife for Mr. Petty as a gift from the owner of High Performance Lubricants to Richard Petty.
Okay.
Well, the guy that owns High Performance Lubricant has bought 66 of my knives.
Incredible.
He's like a groupie.
Right.
It's just absolutely nuts about the knives. And I have a lot of customers like that. And when I've heard people tell me that they need to go through a 12-step campaign, 12-step program to stop buying the knives, because they get addicted. It's like buying their first piece of crack cocaine when they buy a knife.
Once you buy one, you're in.
You're in.
Okay.
Very few of my customers do not come back the following year and buy another one and another one and another one.
That's fantastic. Now, this is your first year at the expo here.
Yes.
And this is a juried show, so keep that in mind. So it's a big honor to be included. And about how many pieces have you got on display here?
I didn't count them, but I'd say 60.
Okay.
Would be my guess.
Okay. And are you crafting during the show, or
no?
Okay.
No, but I crafted leading up to the show for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of the knives I had prior to the year, but no, I work 6-7 days a week.
Okay.
8 to 12 hours a day.
And what's your impression of being part of this group?
Well, it hasn't started yet.
Right.
I know some of the artists in this group.
Okay.
For example, Kevin that sells this beautiful furniture, he's set up with me in Aspen and Telluride and Vail. And so I know other artists that are here that are excellent artists, and I've walked around a little bit and seen some of the other art, and it's just absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
This is not an arts and crafts show.
Not
There's
at all.
No crafts here. This is a fine art show.
Yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned earlier, The expo is here through March 23rd. The great thing is you buy a ticket and you can keep coming back with that same ticket. And I think it would be impossible to take in everything that's here in one viewing. So come at different times of day, come on the weekend, come on weeknights. Arizona Fine Art Expo. Loren, thank you again for joining us.
The pleasure's mine,
Enjoy
John.
the show.
All right.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.